Good morning. I have you all up with me this morning while I'm checking my emails. You want to know the greatest test of a leader and when you will find out if they're a leader, an unbeliever, or they're truly a believer and they're a phenomenal leader. The litmus test, greatest pressure to remain true to what you believe, remain true to your purpose. It is once they get money or once they get attention. Now, the amount of money depends on the person. The amount of attention depends on the person. Now, I've seen so many videos about Larry Reid to the point my head turned sideways. Like all of a sudden, everyone want to give him all of this attention for negative reasons. They have a problem. They're talking about demonic networks and all of this. And I'm thinking to myself, what took you so long? I mean, at one time the program was funny, it had a lot of current events, it covered a lot of gospel figures, and then gradually it changed as Larry changed. Yet and still, it was evident during the early part of the network. And that test came in the form of Brian Carn. You see, it was Larry Reid that announced first that Brian was caught repeating a witch. It was him. But very quickly he backed off of it, meaning he was breached, compromised. And that is because of Brian's relationship with Prophet E. Bernard Jordan. Prophet E. Bernard Jordan was one of Brian Carn's earliest mentors. He was. And I don't know if people knew that or not. And from there came Carn's relationship with a lot of global ministers, including well, not Bishop, including Benny Hinn, which coincidentally, uh, Manasseh Jordan ended up having a very close relationship with Benny Hinn, you see. And so it's a network, right? You see that. I just explained to you a very little brief snippet, but that test came and he failed. That's the bottom line. And from there, it just evolved, right? And so the other day, I was doing something, and I saw a video before then about uh, Larry Reid was breaking down what was going on with the court proceedings with Bishop Jakes and this gentleman, right? About all of these allegations. I don't know why it came to me, but the following came to me that Larry Reid is actually angry at Bishop Jakes because he think Bishop Jakes is responsible for something that happened and he isn't. It didn't Bishop Jakes didn't do it. I don't know what that thing is. I don't know what that situation may be, but he believes that Bishop did something that he didn't do, someone else did it. Someone else are responsible for it. And he hasn't figured out who the person is. So all of this concentrated attack, it started with girl, I forgot her name. That's sad. But the girl with the kids and with Cora, and then it evolved, right? It evolved from there. And it was targeted. It's been targeted the entire time with Bishop Jakes. He had a beef with him. Then it was about Bishop Jakes and what's the Carlton Pearson. Then it was the beef with Bishop Jakes and Manasseh, and he's just been very focused and localized on Bishop Jakes. He has a clear cut uh, commitment to leveling him, taking him out, but it's not about what people think it is. I don't know why. It came to me the other day. He believes that Bishop Jake is responsible for something, and it didn't happen. Bishop Jakes wasn't the one who did it, somebody else did. And all this time, you know, he's had this displaced anger. Now, as far as how two men perceive each other and their relationship, like how Bishop Jakes viewed Carlton Pearson and what the inner workings were of their relationship, no one can answer that question except for Bishop Jakes and Carlton Pearson. And being that one's currently deceased and the other one's living, we will never know. Everything that Larry Reid knows about that relationship dynamic came from one side of the relationship dynamic between those two men. But when it comes to men and their relationships, it's not wise for it or anyone's relationship is that we're not involved in. It's between two people. It's not wise for us to take sides in any shape, form, or fashion, no matter how much that person may mean to us. We have to be very objective, especially if you're a leader, and how you filter that information. It's just wiser to do that, to handle things in that manner. And that's just not something that Larry Reid has been willing to do, right? It's very obvious that unlike, what is his name? William McCray, unlike McCray, see, he didn't care. He was coming for you. He was going to talk about you. He was going to do da 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 da. He didn't care. Whereas with Larry Reid, it's very clear that the gospel gatekeepers, the gospel giants, have made it very clear. These are our friends. Back off, shut up, find something else to talk about. And that's what he's doing. So I'm gonna leave that alone. I also find it interesting that now all of a sudden you can kind of figure out who are friends with who. And I found that fascinating. Well, I've been figured it out. I found it fascinating. You can tell who are friends with who by who choose to hop on the plane together and head to Dubai at the same time. That's how close they are. But I don't think it's just for leisure. I also think it's for some manner of business or something, right? Before I forget about the relationship thing, he said that he believes that Bishop Carlton Pearson, because Larry Reid believed in the ancestors, Carlton Pearson doing something from the other realm, and that's why XYZ123 is taking place. And I think it's important that we don't need to be focusing on what they're doing. We have to look at a greater picture of what's going on in our country. It is very evident that Christians are failing. You're failing because you should have enough power that you shouldn't have been in a place to of rebellion to the point that God allows you to have a wicked and evil leader or ruler. You shouldn't. Now, another thing is going on that show you the severity of it, not just about immigration and naturalization, but today, like things dealing with money, it is literally crashing. It's bottoming out in a way that I can't describe. I've never witnessed it before. I'm used to bullish markets. I'm used to not panicking when the numbers change and you kind of sit still a little bit. But that speaks to whatever the bills are about cryptocurrency, the information being leaked to people with a lot of money, and they're snatching their money just as fast as they can, which that's alarming because for those of us who understand cryptocurrency, we understood that money was a passive stream of income for us. Like it does numbers all day, every day, right? Like you're making money constantly, it's a constant stream of money, and you know how to manage it, what assets, what tokens, what to put where, knowing the differences between them. And when you seeing all of them in red, honey, it's like reading the Testament, the New Testament, they all in red, baby. All in red, honey. I mean, very little black going on. Everybody in red, right? So hold on one second. What is this? Like your assets, when you look at your assets, and you start seeing everything plummeting, especially when you have a diverse, you know, things you're investing in, honey, they are all red, all up and down everywhere. Like, I am not used to this and I'm not okay with this, but you can tell that it's happening because something about the US legislation dealing with digital currency, it's hitting the market and upsetting the market, put which threatens the viability of prosperity for African Americans, because though Black people understand a 9 to 5 isn't enough. Economists understand that 9 to 5 isn't enough. Multiple jobs isn't enough. You need to understand and know how to do different types of investment, not just digital currency, but you need to be trying to get you some doors, meaning buying you some rental properties and things of that nature. But what I'm getting to is seeing an economic crisis on the horizon that is going to buckle this country to its knees. That's a sign of an evil ruler, right? That's a huge sign. That to me communicates suffering, loss of life, loss of livelihood, and all of that. So now we have to ask ourselves as believers, like, where did we fail to pray and be a faithful people to the point that the Lord done appointed over as a wicked and evil ruler. Like, those are the things that matter right now and impact, and it does involve politics. So when you look at, for instance, over 80 percentile of evangelicals voted for the current president. They voted for our current sitting president. That goes to show you what they're saying and what they're believing isn't lining up with the word. It isn't. And you see that in the Bible too. People believing that putting this person in power is the best. It's the right idea, and turns to find out it wasn't. That was a dumb idea, right? But what I'm getting to is we have to become more discerning and wise in how we're conducting ourselves and what we're allowing to have our attention, what we're investing our time, eyeballs, breath in, and going back to, I think the main thing that put the main breach for Christians is we don't pray enough. We want to praise all the time, but we really don't want to be disciplined people and pray. And lack of a prayer life is a sign of pride. That if you're having a hindrance in your prayer life, it goes back to pride, right? So once you get rid of pride, you don't care how crazy you sound, you don't care how long it takes, you are going to be a prayer for people. And that's what, instead of us spouting, well, that's good. I don't I have a problem with this. I'm a vote for this person. Instead of doing that just alone, you should be prayerful people because they have erected an idol. This man is an idol for them. And those attributes, in fact, don't align with the word. They don't align with the gifts of the spirit. They don't align with the fruit of the spirit. So why are we just relying on reading the Bible from a literal sense instead of looking for fruit and gifts? Now, back in Germany, during the Holocaust, people had to have the little yellow uh, stars on their chests, right? For you to know who's who, right? And in this country, the way you're going to know who's who is by two things: fruit of the spirit, gift of the spirit. If those two things are not evident, then you have your answer, right? And why the evangelicals are not measuring, engaging their decisions based on the fruit of the spirit, gift of the spirit, in conjunction with the word, I will never understand. I will never understand. Now, my question to you is the following: what are your plans? What are your thoughts? I mean, we're less than a month into this presidency, honey, and it's been a wild ride. I'm talking about wild, wild ride. So my question to you is, what are you doing? Do you mind sharing your ideas? Do you mind sharing your encouragement? Do you mind sharing some resources? Um, do you mind? If you don't, then we would we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I'm serious. Okay. Well, I'm about to bounce off of here, Shugs. I can't wait to hear from you, hear your feedback and everything. Because I'm concerned. I can't even sit up there and act like I'm not. I am concerned. I do have a heart for the immigrant population, and my concerns for them are sincere. I just believe that we need a more ethical process for immigration and naturalization in this country. Um, and we already see what's coming. Black people are going to be used for this fight. Yeah, don't even sit there and don't think that you're not. It's going to be our voices, our effort, our time, our resources, and everything else to fight this fight and be really they're going to use the front picture and face of the fight is going to be African Americans because um for whatever reason we've been designated in this country to be the fighters, the freedom fighters, they're like, I don't know why. No other race and culture in this country have been, classified as the fighting people. But they know every fight we are victorious. But I can't wait to hear your feedback and stuff. Let me go in here and have some breakfast this morning. I hope you have had a wonderful weekend. Everything is going well for you, with you, and all things um, pertaining to you. So I love you much. I can't wait to hear from you. Shoot, y'all have an awesome day in every way. Take care. Bye.